The Hacks of Gorm, Part 34, To the Underground, where the ancestors dwell. One of the cultists was quicker and swung her wine bottle right at Tamara's head. "This is almost as bad as Carthia," she exclaimed as she narrowly avoided the attack. "You scum show your tolerance by trying to bash people's heads in." Sergeyev responded faster, unsheathing his sword. He parried the metal rod of another who swung at him just in time. There was a great clang as the two weapons connected. Gottschalk cursed and made to get his miner's pick in front of any attacks from the others. Luckily, most of the cultists' ire remained focused on Gorm, though. Still possessed by some phantom it seemed, the barbarian only stared mildly at the fuming zealots before him. They swore in their vilest tongues that he was some sort of peddler of hate for saluting the fallen statue. Gottschalk knew he had to act quickly. More were approaching. If they were taken by these cultists, then how would they find the torrent sword? How would they free Ramzus and Larissa Austral from the Ghoul spell? "So, Sergeyev, what type of sword do you have?" "Well, it's very Indo-European, I can tell you that," he replied. "As a matter of point, it possesses a finely crafted hilt indicative of my people's honoring of both the Servine as well as Heliacal cult. If it only had circumvolution." Gottschalk glanced over at Gorm as Tamara struck back at her foe. Sergeyev landed a slash on his too, despite being so animated and distracted by Gottschalk's question. The man obviously loved his ancestors and was quite sharp, but his large words had irritated the barbarian before. Gottschalk had hoped that they would do so again, but Gorm seemed unaffected. Gottschalk looked around in a near panic, seeing if he could find some way to prod the barbarian to axe frenzy. He turned for a moment to look at the graves and mausoleums behind him. Otherwise, all he could see was the tabard on one of the cultists when he turned back, the same young woman who had screamed at Gorm first. It read, "Only orcish lovers need apply." He was surprised at such an arrogant and ridiculous statement, even for a cultist, but it also gave him an idea. "If you're so equalitarian, why do you care what race your lovers are?" The woman turned to him, bile rising at first, but then her white face went pale. The others turned to Gottschalk as well, ready to debate such an obviously hateful statement, but they couldn't quite articulate a response. Tamara took the opportunity to kick the cultist woman in the shin, and Sergeyev tugged on Gorm's suspenders to get him to move. Unfortunately, the man was too large to budge very far. Gottschalk grabbed Gorm's great axe, but the cultists, seeing that he was alone, moved past the hypocrisy of their warped philosophy and came at him. Cultists could never resist an opportunity to attack an isolated heretic. The young woman, it seemed, had found her words too, for she launched into him more arrogantly than she had even done to Gorm before.
"We have to correct injustices, you amaranthine scum! Get off our, street! You and your racist filth! If I had a hammer, I'd hammer you in the morning!"
Gottschalk knew that he was no racist, but this woman certainly was. She claimed to be against racism, but in reality, she was against humans, even if she herself was one. But being right didn't matter to these zealots. They would try to beat and kill you regardless, spitting on their ancestral heritage all the while. And that they had all now begun to sing their fell cult song only made it worse.
"Kill all of you amaranthine scum with the battle of social justice all over this land!"
Luckily, Gorm seemed to come to his senses somewhat and knocked most of the cultists aside with his mighty thews. Tamara yelled out a warning, though. Even more were coming. It was time to fall back to the mausoleum, the place of the ancestors, and go underground. There they would hopefully find the torrent sword. But even if they didn't, It would be a great relief to not have to worry about listening to any more cultist songs, nor hear any more of their hate for their brothers and their sisters. Next week, The Hacks of Gorm, Part 35.